is our first live on this channel. Finally reached the 50 mark, so thanks for that. But I've done I've released 4 shorts so far. First one is basically a stoner comedy, which is Munchies. Second one, which one was second? It's been a minute. Would have been Son of Scout, which is black and white, and this is a silent movie, so there's music to it, but there's no dialogue. There's some words on screen, stuff like that. Another dumb comedy. Next one I released would have been, which one is it? So You Want to Be a Killer, which is basically, I really like the old school goofy cartoons, like the How To ones and all that. And that's what the inspiration was for that one. And then Hard, which is a documentary, which is about 16 minutes long. The rest are under 5. They're real short, but I also have others in the works and everything else. So basically, what I've learned is talking can make something easier and longer. What I mean by that is the reason that the short ones I have are so short is due to it being action, not a lot of dialogue, quick moving, and all the air taken out. Meaning, it's enough to show you patterns and stuff like that to get you into what the character is doing. But as far as anything that's not needed for the story, it's pretty much cut. So things are real short. With speaking, it's easier to do a build up. And I think some people will get that, some people might not, but it's easier to, like, if I were to show what I'm talking about right now, I could probably do it in under 2 minutes, right? But talking about it makes it longer. All right. Overshoot. Overshooting gives you more to edit, and the more you have to edit, the better it's going to be, more than likely, because you'll be able to get bits and pieces. There's been scenes that I thought wouldn't make it, that made it. There's in the first one, I was pacing back and forth, right? I was pacing outside, and I thought I was going to use it that way. I didn't. I cut it up, and I used it in a different way and spread it out throughout. So, besides just that, there might be some stuff that you think is going to make it, but won't. You might have some ideas for even parts of plots and stuff that might not make it. With Hard, I had a thing in there that didn't make it in. It was going to be a big part of it. It got completely scrapped. And due to that, this next, one of the next ones I'm working on, I'm going to use it for that instead. So, your ideas are precious. Let's see. Oh, also, let it become whatever it's going to become, especially if you're working on something alone or 1 or 2 other people. You know, sometimes it's better that it's not what you originally had planned out. With Hard, that's definitely the case. It turned out better than what I thought. With the first one, I didn't know how it was going to end, but I'm happy with how Munchies ended and all that. So some of them can take a darker turn. Like there's one right now that I'm working on that is completely silent. No talking, no anything to it, right? Which is fine. I kind of like it that way. But it's becoming more like Munchies, but darker to an extent. So maybe that's what it's going to be. And if that's what it's going to be, I'm okay with it. It does have a little bit of humor in it too, because I can't help myself. But yeah. All right. Oh yeah. Also, it's okay to write through editing. That's what I do. I'll shoot something, I'll put it right into, for me, InShot, and shot the beginning and end off. You know, play it. see what the timing is, all that, chop it where I feel it needs to be chopped, put it into wherever it needs to go, as long as I already have stuff chopped. So, and then I'll chop it some more from there if I need to, right? But that shows me what I'm missing. It shows me what way the story's going, kind of the pacing to it, and everything else. So, let's see. You won't like what you make, and that's okay. I've made a bunch of stuff already, and I don't like everything that I made, right? I've done a lot in my life, and you know, really what it comes down to is when we make stuff, we're too close to it. And by too close to it, what I mean is this: that we overanalyze and everything else. We aren't seeing it with fresh eyes. So if I'm making something, I'm not making something for somebody to watch 7 times, or whatever. If they do, that's on them. Cool, awesome. But it's all about that first time, right? So if I've seen it 7 to 10 times or whatever, if I'm editing like that, it's not gonna be fresh to me. Plus, I know me, so what I say and stuff isn't gonna surprise me. It's gonna surprise other people. So there's that aspect to it. But I'm at the point now where I'm okay with Munchies. Son of Scout, I'm not as okay with. Maybe someday I will be. So You Want to Be a Killer, I'm okay with, and the one that I actually am most okay with, surprisingly, is the newest one, which newest one that's actually out, which is hard. So yeah, it's better to make shit than to make nothing. At least in my opinion. Because otherwise I'd just be talking about making stuff, not actually making stuff, and that's fine. I mean, that works for some people. For me, it really doesn't work. I'd rather just make stuff, get it out there, and all that. You know what I mean? So, I could try to make something good, but if I make something good or great, then that's a lot of time spent on something I don't enjoy doing because it's like, oh, I got to do this, got to hit this again, got to do this scene for the 50th time. When I shoot 1 or 2 takes. Two in case I walk too fast or something like that. Otherwise, it's 1 take. I got what I got, and that's gonna have to be good enough. You know, don't have all the time in the world, none of us do. And if you are spending money making a movie, which I don't, but if you do, then that even means more that that time is precious, kind of. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you're in a location or something like that, which I haven't done, I'm never planning to do. So you can always come up with more ideas, more stories, everything else. So no stories or anything are sacred either. People steal each other's stories and ideas all the time. They always have, they're always going to. And a lot of people think similar anyway. So the story that you're writing right now might be being wrote by somebody else at the same time, something similar to it. Not the exact same thing because it can't be, but you get what I'm saying. All right. So going to go through this other stuff real quick. So how I came up with Munchies, I have a book. It's not down here, is it? No. All right. That is about movies. It has synopses of them, kind of reviews, stuff like that. And I was looking through it. The name Munchies jumped out at me, and I thought, okay, what about if it's the guy that gets too high and starts eating pets and kids? And that's how that movie came about. It's a stoner movie. It's a comedy. It's a dark one. It's all right. Son of Scout got the idea from Son of Sam. The dog talks to him and he kills people. Well, no, this is more like a religious conversion movie because it's a silent movie, but the dog talks to him and he ends up really, really, really wanting to become a dog. Okay, so that's that one. So You Want to Be a Killer? I really like the goofy cartoons from back in the day, that the Disney ones that had, how to, or the sports ones or whatever. They always made me laugh. And then the 1950s instructional videos. So with that, That's the reason I did So You Want to Be a Killer, because it's one that they would never make. What up, JD? Just covering stuff I made and all that, because I'm figuring, why not? I have learned stuff through it and all that. Hard to believe how much stuff I've actually shot though, man. Right now it's at what, the 4 that are out. I scrapped a few that I was working on, but now I have one that's complete that's not out because, the copyright thing. I don't know what it is. I'm trying to get that figure. But there's that, and then there's the one other documentary that I am working on. I'm kind of reworking it a little bit, but it'll be fine. And then the completely silent one, which is going to be surprisingly a bit like Munchies, but darker. So yeah, just trying to give people heads up on what they can do, how they can do it, all that, because you know what it is, man. I mean, to me, you're a million times the director that I'll be, but that's how it is for everybody, right? We all think other people are better than us because we see our own glaring stuff, right? Our own glaring problems. That's just the way life works. But so, oh yeah, for Hard, how I came about that, man, was, you already know this, but if anyone watches this later, um, it was internet documentaries. That's what really made that one go. That's what gave me the idea. And some of them do it with really horrible people and all that. So I'm like, okay, what's one that nobody would ever make? They do it about, they've done about ex porn stars or porn stars, stuff like that. Oh, what about if he did bestiality, right? And I know that's messed up, but to me it was hilarious. So that's how that idea happened. Now, the one with all the animation that's going to be coming out, I'm still working on right now, is because of a clip I saw with John Waters. There was an interview, a late night American interview. And that surprised me because back in the day, he would have never been interviewed, ever, especially on a network in America. There's no way the movies that he made and everything else. So that means filth is kind of acceptable. So I'm like, okay, got that. And now there's something that I cut out from Hard. That was a thing that was supposed to be in there. Lucky I have the art that I made. When I'm sitting at the drawing table during that, I'm drawing something that's gonna actually be in this movie coming up. And it's taken a little bit of a different turn where he's kind of an unintentional cult leader. And you know how people can put things out and people really pay way too much attention to them. Like Fight Club came out and then people started making real life fight clubs, stuff like that. Well, yeah, that's going to be a little bit of this. And then it's also going to be a lot of thumbs in the eye. You know what I'm saying? As far as it's basically somebody that does satire. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. Oh yeah, Cheap and Petty, the completely silent one. I think you know this, but I'm trying to remember which. Um, Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance. That's the movie. It's Korean. When I watched it, I didn't realize I muted it, right? But it's about a deaf guy. So I'm like, okay, maybe they just didn't use any sound, and I was digging that aspect. Then I realized I had it muted. Then this Chinese movie that I came across, no dialogue, just background noise. And I'm like, that's awesome. I'm cool with that. So I decided to do a completely silent one, which how I came up with a story for this one is I was looking through the movie book and there's this movie by Andy Warhol. I'm not an Andy Warhol fan, but I realized I had a note above it that said own version, which is basically him trying to do a John Waters movie. in particular, probably Pink Flamingo. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna do that kind of thing too because why not? I like that movie. I want to see what I can do with just one person, right? If I can make this work somehow, because I like doing experiments like that. And let's see, for that, it's gonna be a little bit darker than what I thought. Some comedy stuff in there, and then for God and Country, that one is the one that has the issue for some reason with copyright, which I'm trying to get figured out. But there's this CIA guy that always paints himself in a good light. He's a whistleblower and all that, right? So what I kind of got from him is John Lovitz used to do this character, which was a liar, and he lied all the time, right? About anything and everything. So I'm like, okay, let's make this guy the John Lovitz character, and that's all it is. That way I can talk crazy stuff and all that, and I make sure people know it's a mockumentary. It's not real. So, got honestly, mockumentaries are just easy to make. All it is asking questions and answering them as that character, right? And you're writing that character as you go because anything you say becomes gospel. You get what I mean? So it's not that it's hard to write that way or whatever. For me, it's actually pretty easy. And from that, it's easy to edit. I have a video on here. I don't have the movie, but I have every part of the movie on here already because I recorded it and put the whole thing up before editing. Okay, so that's why I know it's copyright issue. But no, not from what I said or anything else, from something I added in. So yeah, but they are easy. All it is asking questions and answering questions. You can easily just Google if you want. What is it? Free stock footage. I use that for what at least two of the movies that are out, one that's not out, and then Lines and Squiggles has zero of that. The art in it is mine. So yeah, but it's not really hard to make. People like to think, oh, you have to spend all this time, all this money, anything else. The only reason that Cheap and Petty is not done yet is because I need a few more scenes. And I thought I had a good enough idea, but I didn't know what the end was necessarily going to be. And now I think I know kind of what it's going to be. I don't want it to end too much like the other one I already had. So we'll see. But yeah, movies aren't that hard to make. You can make them all by yourself. You have a phone. If you're watching me, you can do all that. You know what I mean? So there you go.